Suppose we are try to use the motor to drive a robot. And so we create a motor class here. And let's create another class called Gamepad. So add on here in chapter 8. And I'm going to change the name called Gamepad and create. And so we're going to change this one to public and Gamepad. Now, we're not going to have a main method here. So for the Gamepad, again, we'll have private. And let's have a double. And the Gamepad will have, let's call this left stick. And Y value, okay, left stick Y. And so we'll use this to drive forward and backward. And we'll use private, double, left stick X for turn. So let's do those double values here. And so again, we'll have constructor, and which is public method, no return, and the name of it we'll call Gamepad. And so initially, it will just say left stick Y equals 0, and we'll have the X is also equals 0. Okay, the constructor, so you can see the patterns here, like what we did in the motor. And then we'll have setter and public void will set left stick Y, okay, and give me a value, and I can set it. And so we can set the value to be that, to be the value. Okay, so we can give the value to the left stick Y. And the same thing here, you can pretty much copy the value and then set the left stick Y, X here. Okay. And just change this one to X. Right. Then for the getters, and we pretty much just return the value, and we'll show you how we're going to use that. So this is a getter because we want to return that value. So we'll say get. Okay. For the getter, we don't have a parameter, and we don't have a parameter, and we'll just return the value. Okay, return that, and this is return X. All right, so it's now void, so I'm actually return double value, and this is return double value. So for the getters, and instead of set, I'm get, and instead of return nothing, I am actually return the value. So I'm return the double value, which is the value of the left stick Y, and for get left stick X, and I'm return the left stick X value. Okay, and for the last one, the toString, right? To print. Okay, so we'll do public, and we'll return string, toString. toString again will allow us to print the information. So I can just return the string value. Okay, let's say gamepad left stick X, and I can create add this left stick value. And left stick values. And I can have the separate, okay, using that one plus change here to Y. So I can just return this concatenate string. So I'll have gamepad left stick XY values, and then I gave the value of X, comma, and then gave the value of Y. So that's my toString. So again, I created another class called gamepad. And to describe a gamepad by giving the attributes, or gamepad gonna have more other attributes like a right stick, we can add that on later. But for simplicity, for demonstration purpose here, I only just do the X and Y here, okay? So this is the class. Now go back to the drive here. Let's say we want to use the gamepad to control a robot. So we can change the thing here. We can change adding more, getting more interest. We actually can use the two classes, motor and gamepad, to make a robot run, for example. So what we can do is we'll create a gamepad. So you can see the gamepad is uppercase here. And for a real control gamepad, I'm using a lowercase because this is an object. And so I can initialize it, call new gamepad. Okay, so again, this is a counting constructor. And I can create two motors. So I can create one motor is left left motor, okay? And then I can create another motor. Let's say this is a two motor drive, one controller left, one controller right. So I'll call this right motor equals new motor here. So initially, and they are all 0. So I can print left motor if we want to print the motor values, okay? Actually, we can do string concatenation. So in here, we can just say new line, okay? And plus right motor. Well, they are both 0 here. So let's say we want to start driving, okay? So what we can do is we can set gamepad. Let's say we want them to drive straight. So what we can do is we'll say gamepad, gamepad dot set left stick Y, and then we give a value here, and we want this to driving forward, to set the value to be 1. Okay, so we have a gamepad value set to 1. And then we'll have a statement here. We'll say if gamepad dot get left stick Y is greater than 0. So if we can use the gamepad value if it's greater than 0, and then we can set the left motor set power, and we can set the power to move forward. So left motor dot set power, and we gave the value to be 1, so they can drive forward. So this is get left stick Y if I need the parentheses. It's a method, okay? And then we can set both motor value power to be 1. So they will drive forward. Okay. And we can also drive backward. Say if, else if this is actually, we'll copy this code here. So I'm going to copy. So else if this is less than 0, if you move the left stick up or down, and so if this is less than 0, then we'll do the reverse driving. Okay, we can set the power into the negative one. Else if I'm missing the parentheses here. Okay, so and so this is really dependent. So we can set this to 1, and we can set this to -1, and otherwise, if they are 0, okay, if it's 0, then what we do, we'll set the power to 0. Okay, we can set the power to 0. Actually, there's more control here. Okay, so this is just the left stick Y going, and we can do the same thing. This is kind of interesting. What about we set the left stick X for turning? In order to turn, if we want to turn, say, right, then we can ask the right motor to moving backwards and left motor to moving forward, and that will make a right turn. So the code it's actually can copy here. So this is actually set to be moving forward. Okay, and we can making turns here. So we can do copy. Actually, we can do so what about we using the Y? Instead of Y, and we have an X here. Okay, so what about we ask them to turn left or right? So this is a turning right. So then we'll set this X. If X is greater than 0, then the left motor power will be moving forward, and the right is actually moving backward. And otherwise, and we just reverse this. So this is have to be changed to X. And the left will, so if we want to turn left, then we will moving the right forward and left backward. And otherwise, we set them to 0. Okay, we are not really so. Yeah. And then we can represent the information about the situation of the motor. Okay, so we can copy that and then see what's the value for the motors. Okay, so we can present system.out. Oh, this is out of the main, so cannot do that. And we can call the toString, and to now present the information again. Okay, so you can see that this can getting quite complicated. For the drive, imagine we have a car or we have a robot, right? And so we can put quite a lot of classes here. We can put the motor here. We can maybe have an object of other control, here maybe sensors, visions here, and we can have a gamepad here. And so we can create a lot of classes and be used for very complicated systems. And in this case, I'm kind of showing you one thing about maybe we'll just have two-wheel drive, a robot or two-wheel drives, very simple car here. So again, we are using after we create the class gamepad, and we can create the object of gamepad here. And this is just one gamepad object here. But for the motor, and we can have as many motors we can have. So right now it's a 2 motors, and we can have 6 motors, we can have 8 motors, we can have 4 motors, and we can create all those objects. And same class, lots of objects, and we can use them to drive a robot or drive a car. So if I run this one, if I run the drive again, and so you can see initially they are 0 and 0, and then I actually set the change the motor to turning, so the power is a different here.